Hey everybody, Little Walt here with Big Walt. We're going to go back to the Tech Tip Tuesday thing. So hopefully Heather knows that we're going to post these on Tuesdays. I just made that back up. So
she's the boss. It may come.
We'll have to consult to the person that runs the computer because we have a hard time running the GoPro.
Right.
This is a new one, so this has been exceptionally learning. It's got a light. I blinded Dad a minute ago.
Yeah, he absolutely blinded me with it.
So Dad's going to talk about some ignition stuff now that we're going to the small blocks. We can run a different ignition than the crate motor stuff, which is better on power and for durability and a whole lot of other reasons. So, So what do you got here?
So, well, what we got is we have the new style stuff, which we'll get into in a minute, that goes in the small block, and then we have what we've been doing, the crate motor stuff. So, for those of you who don't know, obviously, this is not for, racers know, but for people who watch it don't, this is a distributor that goes in the back of the motor. And our plug wires, everybody pretty well knows what a spark plug is. There's a wire that comes off of here, like this wire right here, plugs on here, and it goes down to that cylinder. And these are numbered, 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2 is the firing order of this. And so that's in real simple terms. This makes fire goes in, your gas goes into the cylinder, it explodes, engine runs, okay, in the simplest terms.
So we hooked from there to the spark plug. Obviously the spark plug sparks, makes fire to the motor.
So what they have, this is the same distributor that would be in your Grampy's Chevy pickup, okay, from back in the day. Same exact thing. That's what GM specs, dirt specs that we have to run. So this is what we've been running. What happens is we run this distributor, and then through MSD makes this circle track RPM control that dirt specs for us that we have to have. So what happens is this plugs into this distributor, because this is the plug for there, and then these two plugs go in here. One's your power and one's a tack, okay? Really simple. Power, tack. You plug this in, you got power, you got spark. If you got gas, the motor goes and it runs. What happens, it goes through this box though, and this limits our RPM. The two things that kill race engines, or two of the biggest engine killers I should say, is RPM and heat. The more RPM you turn, lots of times more heat you generate, and it can kill the motor. Obviously there are other things, if parts break or you run it out of oil, something like that, but two of the big engine killers. So what GM did was they said, well, this is a low RPM motor. So most of these are set to run at 6,000 or 6,200 RPMs. So what happens is we go out, this box is mounted on our interior dash or firewall, and it's set for either 6,000 or 6,200. At that point, when the motor hits that, it retards the motor. So those of you who've been at the racetrack and you've wondered why you hear us go down the straightaway and you'll hear a motor kind of go brrr, and it's, sounds like a bumblebee or something like that, sound like something wrong with it. It's not. The guy's hitting the chip. Okay, the chip being this, it's shutting the motor down. Some places will run it like that all the time, where we just to the limit. That's
Devil's Bowl.
Yeah, if you're not hitting the chip, you're not getting in the corner hard enough. This dial, these two little dials right here can be dialed, and you can't. I don't know if you can really see it, but those are some digital numbers. It will come up. So when we go through tech, we'll roll into tech, and these have to be mounted so they can see it through the hood. So we'll roll up on the scales. They'll jump up on the side rail. The tech guy will look down in the hood. This will be flashing in red, bright red. It'll say 6,200 or 6,000 if we're hitting it. If you didn't get to that point, then it may show whatever. It's basically a little mini tachometer. That's why lots of times we don't even run a tachometer with a crate motor, because we got this here, so why spend the money? But it shuts the motor down at that, keeps everybody on the same playing field. These things are pretty bulletproof. They'll run and run and run. And that's what you have for a crate motor. So that noise you hear is this shutting it down. Now, when we go to the small block motor, now we're going to a built motor, which is allowed to turn a lot more RPM. And it's allowed a more elaborate setup. These here, which is brand new, we're just messing around, is the coil for the engine. It makes, I don't know,
40,000 volts.
Yeah, like mega voltage, okay? This essentially, this piece here is what's underneath inside of here, okay? There's a little, what we call in here, there's the coil that would be inside of this distributor. Now, to get the voltage and everything, we mount it exterior. or external, and we have a separate coil wire that will fire from here to the distributor, and I don't have the distributor yet that goes in them. Then we have this elaborate looking MSD, you can see MSD does them, box, and it has dirt stamped right on it. See, Dirt Motorsports. This is the only box that we can run. This one here, again, allows us to have more fire. Now, the more fire, the hotter the spark, more horsepower that we make. So that's why this stuff is all a lot more, you know, heavier duty, because it's putting some juice. You wouldn't want to touch it. It will light your day up.
Yeah, wasn't the old saying, like the MSD, that's what we call this stuff, is MSD ignition, is like triple the spark of we call this an HEI.
Yeah.
It's like triple the spark.
Yeah, it's a lot more spark, and it's more accurate. As you turn RPM, this was not designed to turn 6,000 RPMs. This was designed to run on the road. Your road car runs at maybe $2,000, you know, whatever. So the spark's pretty decent. As you go up in RPM, which RPM, by the way, is revolutions per minute. So that means that's how fast the motor's spinning. So when you hear us talking about it was turning 8,000, well, it was 8,000 revolutions per minute, which is really zinging. So yeah, so this stuff gets mounted inside there. Now, the cost difference, just for those of you in racing, this distributor here can be bought for, I don't know, a couple $100, maybe.
Yeah,
you know,
if it doesn't have to be a crate motor one.
Yeah,
the
laugh.
Inflation.
Right. If you buy one that says for a crate motor, you're going to pay more. If you buy one that just says, because we just did this for my dad's hot rod truck, we looked up a brand new one, and you can buy one of these for like $100. There's literally no difference. Some guys will have them massaged by a company that says they do this, that, the other thing. But basically, it's you know, a stock piece. You can get some different brains and things that you can try in them. But dirt specs that the inside, if they get looking at them, the weights and all this stuff has to be the same. So pretty lightweight setup there as far as money-wise, which is a good thing. Now we get over to these. This box here is in the $400 to $500 range just for this piece here. This also will shut it down. Even the small blocks shut down at 7,600, I believe it is. So it will shut the motor off at 7,600, which is considerably more than this. 1,600
RPMs more.
Yeah, which is a lot, okay? But they do come through with a lot more wiring, but they're nice weather pack fittings and stuff like that. And then this here has a separate coil wire. So now the distributor will have a wire that goes from here over onto the top of it, so there'll be an extra prong. Like this one does not have that because it's all internal. The new distributor in the motor will have another one of these, like right here. That wire plugs onto there and goes over to here because it's getting the mega juice from there. Yeah. So in a nutshell, just for you know the average fan or other racers that don't know, I'm no electronic expert by any means. But just the difference when you start moving from one division to another and why it costs more. You know, you're looking at between these two, probably when you're all said and done, $700-800.
Yeah, plus the distributor, you're probably $1,200 to $1,300.
And then the distributor. Also, when you start adding in the tachometer, this is actually a broken one I can show you, but it's broke. It's a digital tachometer that snaps onto the dash. These are anywhere from $300 to $400 a pop. Now you kind of want to have one of them so that you can figure out if you're a little below, a little above. So all the cars, the small block cars, will have these in them.
Yeah, funny story about that tack.
Somebody broke it.
Yeah, Walt happened to break it, and it worked perfectly fine. I was putting my dash together right in this area, and I turned and hit something with my hand and knocked it off and broke the screen. Yeah. So if anybody knows where you can get those repaired, please drop a comment.
Yeah, if it's possible to repair it, let us know.
I just cost myself like $400 because that's a $400 tack. Right. So I was kind of frustrated on Wednesday.
Yeah. So one other quick thing I can show you is the other kind of a distributor that we have. The small block motor that I bought has what they call a magneto in it, okay? And we can roll this out here so we can see it. So this is another kind of distributor that doesn't have no coil or anything. It's all built internal. This thing makes its own juice. And those of you who've messed with them, if you've ever spun one, you know, took the bottom and spun it while you had your hand on the other end, you understood how much juice it will make. This motor had it in it because at Lebanon Valley Speedway, they have a rule that you can, and this motor at the time was run exclusively at Lebanon Valley, that you could run a mag there. So that's why it has a mag. I'll be changing the mag out of it and going to the dirt sanction rule stuff, which is good. But one of the things, the sprint cars and stuff like that will run a magneto. There's no alternator on this motor because this makes its own juice. And so it doesn't need any juice. Once the motor's running, it makes its own juice. The thing that they say about this is that this at high RPM, this was built for high RPM, that it doesn't fall off. And so it's more accurate with its firing at the higher RPMs, and in turn it makes more consistent horsepower throughout. So this is the next level up in, you know, ignition stuff.
And I think throughout the years, the MSD stuff has come a long ways.
Yeah, I believe that it has. It's come a long ways. There's still some people that would swear by this. I have personally run big motors and stuff like that before. Never really played with this. It was at the time that it was all MSD stuff, which I felt was really good. So not to say that I wouldn't, you know, try this for a race or something like that. It's a matter of plug and play kind of deal. But these things here, you know, sprint cars use them, and some guys still use them, and they're fairly pricey. This one was done for Megasaurus.
Yeah, this is a Mags-R-Us, which is right out of New York, actually.
Yeah, so the different ignitions, and then obviously there are lots of different ignitions. There's crank-fired ignitions, things like that. But basically, these are the ignitions that we run or will be running, and that's kind of like your little tech tip for now. If you have questions or comments, please let us know. Again, leave us a comment if you know where we can get one of these repaired. That would be great.
Yeah. I'll throw you a T-shirt or something, because it cost myself a lot of money by being clumsy.
Yeah, and so we'll be coming along, and hopefully this is helpful to somebody out there that was looking, or a fan, or somebody that didn't understand what that funny noise was.
Yeah. That's
what it is. They're hitting the rev limiter, and it's either here or here. But again, this is the dirt has their name right on it, so that there's no question of what it is. So thanks again, and like, subscribe, and shoot us questions. We'd love to answer your questions.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.